next question comes from the High Strangeness subreddit from a user Substantial Pressure 3. They say, I've heard about Dr. Segala's sensors, and I know that Dr. Garry Nolan studied the brains of government employees and contractors who were injured by close contact with UAPs. Was any of that data ever used in conjunction with Dr. Nolan's work? Has Dr. Nolan seen that data? And also, where can I find those interviews that Dr. Nolan did about his research, the research comparing Havana syndrome and the injuries suffered after UAP exposure? They seem to have completely disappeared.
Well, it
So I
seems to
guess a
be a
little bit for
question
Garry too.
for, yeah, it seems to be a question more for Gary, but I will tell you that, I spent a lot of time with this same medical professional studying a lot of the cases from the Havana syndrome. And it seemed that a lot of the cases that we originally studied back in 2000, 15, 2016, which, or, bona fide observations of UFOs had the same look and feel and the same characteristics as the Havana syndrome patients. And there was a great article or a great report by the National Academy of Sciences that detailed exactly what they found. And you could put our research and their research side by side and have the same thing. So if Gary wants to weigh in on what he used for data on his experiments.
So just to be careful, we didn't do any experiments on any individuals. First of all, that would require an institutional review board, et cetera. But we did look at a lot of the MRIs and associated clinical data of many of these individuals. There were at least, of the 100 or so that started, as I've said before, perhaps only about 10 or 15 at the end were somehow related to anomalous events, meaning like UAP or some kind of encounter, as opposed to the majority of them, which could have been easily classified as Havana syndrome. Now, interestingly, the same kinds of obfuscation techniques that are being used around UAP have been used around Havana syndrome. And it appears that Representative Turner, one of the reasons he might have been removed from his position on the Oversight Committee of Intelligence was because of how others were annoyed that he was blocking access to the information around just Havana syndrome. So it seems like the playbook is reused in that context. As to the question of things that might or might not have been removed, I haven't removed any podcasts that I've been on. They might just get removed from disuse or somebody's website goes down or something. I've never felt suppressed around that. I think what was good about Havana syndrome, to the extent that it's good, the information getting out about it, is that there's now a whole class of people who were being ignored, who are now, there actually is, from the Health and Human Services, there is now actually a book out about anomalous health incidents. And that is fantastic, that all of the efforts that we put into it over the last decade, there's now, and that booklet outlines for people the steps you can take as a government associated employee, military, intelligence, or otherwise, to be seen through the government associated health system. It lays out who you call, et cetera. So whether or not you're talking about Havana syndrome or some of the things that Jim's techniques can look for evidence that something might be happening to you, or you're talking about something else, there is now a well laid out path because of the efforts of many people to open that up. I have one of Jim's early devices at my house, and to my knowledge, nothing has ever clicked on that Jim has called me about and said, "You got to watch out, duck."